Hey everybody, welcome to Revitalise Meets, where I get the opportunity to meet business entrepreneurs and key influencers from across the UK and over the pond. And it comes with a great pleasure and privilege to be welcoming this lady to Revitalise Meets today from over the pond in Philadelphia, of all places. Had a great chance to catch up with this lady a few weeks back to find out on her take about networking and the synergy that we have between our businesses covering across the pond. Can you please welcome with me today at Revitalise Meets, the one, yes, but the only Ashley Owens of Ashley Assists. Ashley, how are you today?
Oh, Lee, my head's big enough, man. Thank you so much for having me here today.
You're more than welcome. And most importantly, as it's today and we're recording it, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if you get this issue or, with your own LinkedIn network, but when it's your birthday, you get 75,000 messages because LinkedIn has that nice prompt of, hey, somebody in your network was given birth today. So, you get all these messages. So my morning has been fielding and trying to make sure that I'm organized, not to be looking at 75 messages. So this is a nice break for that.
It shows you're popular. That's most importantly as well, though. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
All right, I'll take your word.
So for everybody who's watching and listening today on the channels, would you mind letting everybody know a little bit about your business journey and where you are right now with Ashley Assists?
Sure. So my business journey started about 10 years ago. So my background is in media and television. So when I graduated college, I had 18 jobs after graduation, and that was due to mergers and acquisitions and budget cuts. Never got fired from any of my positions. And it was one of those things where it was right after the 2008, which is in the US, there was a huge economic collapse. And so a lot of the positions that I had been prepping for 4 years were no longer available. So the challenge is that I was trying to figure out where my value was throughout all the positions that I had. And I worked for companies like eBay Enterprise. I worked for companies that gathered data for oil and gas. I worked for 2 celebrities in New York City as a personal assistant. And so with all of these different skill sets that I was able to gain throughout all of these positions, I realized that I didn't really know what I was even good at because I was just always in survival mode. So by the time I got to this position, I was working I was selling custom software. That was a position before I started this career. And I realized, how the hell did I wake up and work in entertainment? And then now I'm selling custom software. I'm like, how did I get here? And so it was a moment where I felt like there needed to be more. I felt like I could do more. I just didn't know what area to go in. So I quit that job. After 8 months, I quit that job, and I'm Irish Catholic. So in America, we work until we stroke out because we're dumb Americans. So I tried to build up a tolerance for that kind of behavior. And so I went to a networking event in Philadelphia, and this was at the Phillies games, which is a baseball team. And so I went to this event and I networked on behalf of myself with no job. I wanted to make it known that I was looking for a job, but then I also took out all of the pressure of, quote unquote, selling because I didn't have anybody to sell to. So I walked around and I really wanted to see, how can I help the people that I've had the pleasure and the privilege of being in my network? And so I went to this event, walked around, and then took a step back and said, okay, I'm a fixer. That's usually my number one skill set, is working as a PA. How do I fix a problem? All right, find a need and you fix it, right? So I looked at everybody at the event and I said, what do they have in common? Everybody here is networking. Well, in the networking space, what challenges do they have? Okay, I could think and I can guess, but let me go around and let me talk to everybody. And that's what I did. I asked them, what sucks for you about networking? What's the worst thing? Well, complex calendar scheduling, going to events and figuring out where to go, going by myself. I have no idea who to network with. All of these things that people were vulnerable enough to tell me. And so every person I just took, okay, let's build on that. What about that is difficult? And so by the time I got to the end of it, I had some, brainstorming ideas and figuring out, okay, these are the issues. Somebody overheard me BSing my way through figuring out these potential service offerings and said, hey, would you ever network for someone at a book signing? I said, yes. And he goes, okay, give me a call in 2 weeks and we'll set something up. Because all he did was watch me at that networking event and saw how I was talking to people and was like, this is interesting. So in 2 weeks, I had a website, liability insurance, a logo, headshots, a master services agreement, a statement of work, and a semblance of service offerings all duct taped together in 2 weeks, just to be valid or have some kind of validity for this potential client. So I called him back and said, hey, if you're still interested, I'd love to help you out. He goes, sure, this event is 4 hours away. I want you there for 2 hours, and then you're going to be driving back. So he paid for everything. And I think at the time I was like $7 an hour. After taxes, I made maybe $1. And I went to this event, and while he was doing his book signing, he was a digital marketer. While he was doing his book signing, I networked for him while he was there. He told me the kinds of people and the strategic partnerships that he wanted to meet. And I was able to ask those questions because the pressure was off of me to sell. I was just building relationships. And it was the first time I actually saw that that was a valuable asset. So I, worked that event. He gave me this beautiful testimonial and the world opened up. And in the past 3 years, I've given over 1,000 introductions. I've been on the Mel Robbins show on CBS. I've keynoted I've done 100 speaking engagements by the end of 2020. And now I'm building up an online course that's going to be trained and given out in the next few months. So when I took the chance to just triple down the strength that I had, the business became something very unique because I'm unique. And I didn't realize that until after 18 years and million, businesses later. So that is my story. That's how I got started.
I think it's interesting though, because many people, what they find is, unfortunately, we've spoke about this before, they go in there to sell to the room.
Right.
But what they find is, what you found was you're building relationships up one step at a time, starting a strong foundation, someone seeing you do something that they're not comfortable in doing. So when you got that opportunity to go to this other event and start talking about somebody else's product, but most importantly, you're asking the right questions to get the right answers, it then starts opening up the doors of opportunity. Many people put themselves under unnecessary pressure when they go networking. And I think it's so interesting when we come out of these corporate careers and where we've been, and an opportunity just arises and you go, right, I'm going to grab that with both hands and now I'm going to run with it. And it just takes that one opportunity, like you mentioned there, that starts the role.
Those one opportunities come when you recognize it and you take it, it's incredible, but you have to be able to recognize it, right? So this only happened one other time in my entire life, which significantly changed the course of my life. It was because one person gave me an opportunity. And they saw value in me before I even did. Both Marnie McDonald from Bad Rhino, who's my first client, who I absolutely adore, and a company called InMod that plucked me from being a waitress because they liked how I sold them a burger. And the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today or having the confidence is because I have a very aggressive, not even fear. It's I want to pay it forward to my bones what those guys did for me. So I take every phone call, which probably is to a fault. I make every introduction because I'm so I just want to make sure that if I can give an opportunity or a thought or some knowledge or a resource that can do half of what those guys did for me, then I can be happy with who I am. So that's kind of how it kind of all came together.
I think it's sort of like you're plugged in, but you also, what you have done, what I've heard in there, is that you've delivered your message consistently with purpose of what you want to achieve. So people actually see that happening. It becomes a natural occasion. So people from people, we always hear that phrase, people buy from people. But that's where relationships all start from. You've got to start building it from somewhere for an opportunity then to come to fruition. So really hats off to you, Ashley. Really, really well done on that one. Now, you're welcome. Now, with everything that's going on at the moment, and especially in the current climate and the restrictions that we've got at the moment, we're all in different type of situations. And we're now all living on a virtual room. As you can tell, I'm living in my little box every single day of the week.
I've been there since the last time we chatted about 6 weeks ago.
I've never moved, Ashley. I've been here for nearly 3 weeks, 4 weeks over Christmas. Family wasn't happy at all. How have you diversified your business to, especially when you do those events, traveling 4 hours, going to an event, doing a speaking gig, going to network events, etc. How have you diversified your business or adapted your business journey to be on a virtual space now?
It's a great question. So before the pandemic, I was, to your point, was going to events with clients as an extension of them. I was helping them navigate through the room, identifying good people to be strategic partners with, and then also doing the follow-ups. I was then going to conferences as either a speaker or a vendor or an attendee with my clients. So they would hire me to do that. So the majority of my business was on-site, tangible, tactical networking. Since the pandemic, I was still training sales teams and business professionals and small business owners how to network, but my topic was online and offline networking. So I would split it between the two best practices. When the pandemic happened, of course, like everybody else, is very scary about, my own business well-being. But I took a step back, and for 2 weeks, I just watched. I just watched what people were doing, what people were saying, how people were starting to communicate, when the appropriate time was to communicate, and shifted everything to online, which ended up growing my network exponentially. The reason why is because now, let's say, for example, you're on a networking call with 30 people. If you are at the same event with those people, you are typically going to be talking to 5 or 6 and having these conversations. And there's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of beginning, conversation that goes into it. You then probably get their card, make a mental note or write in the back of the card what your follow-up is. And then between 2 and 3 days, you get back to them if you don't lose the card, or if that stack is achievable enough to go through. So that logistically, the amount of networking that you can do online is so much easier. So again, for example, you and I are on this call right now. I can do 2 to 3 podcasts a day instead of having to go to a studio. I can have a 60-minute call with 30 other professionals, and then as I think of, that person would be a good introduction, I can do it on the call. So it's not like it hindered your network. What it did, it broadened out the opportunity to follow up, which is the most important thing in networking. You're staying top of mind, you're providing resources, you're connecting people, you're being a matchmaker in that capacity. So the online networking allowed me, and it threw me into a lot of work in a great way, because people are having challenges networking effectively online, not because they're bad networkers, because they're not. It's the logistics behind it and how to really maximize your process. So that, because I'm a nerd and I sold custom software, I enjoy the process driven of like, let's get your trash brain organized. Let's build a tier 1, tier 2 list. And here's what to do when you're on a call, when your kids are running around, or when you're doing this. Like, let's set up, dumb you with smart you. So everyone can kind of manage the bandwidth it takes to network effectively. And so that's kind of where I thrive. And it was a really nice way to pivot. But that's what I did in the process.
I think it's interesting because when you look at everybody who has adapted to online, what we found, and conversations I've had today as well, is that it's more productive. You just answered that question just there. It's more productivity happens. Yep. You've got an instantaneous introduction, which I've just done after an event today of 3 to 4 straight off the bat. Right, I can introduce you to this person in the phone call or the Zoom call you're having. You can proactively do that quite quickly.
Right.
And it's right what you say as well, is that it's opened up the geography barriers completely.
Yeah, because you and I are talking. I mean, this never probably wouldn't have happened.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I was speaking to somebody in Portugal a few weeks back, speaking to yourself over in the States, Canada, it opens up further afield. Today was Ireland. To travel to do that, to bring people together is really important. So, yeah, I think really well done in how you diversified and how you've took the mantle to move your business forward by the pressures of others and giving them more time, because you're really saving them time for their business.
You hit on the head. The time factor was the main foundation of the value, because a lot of people talk about, I'm sure you get this pushback too, like, what's the ROI with networking? Well, networking is a marketing opportunity and not a sales activity. The sales will come, but in order to build a nice foundation for people to know, like, and trust you to end up purchasing from you, you have to build up that marathon, not that sprint. And the time is what I pride myself in giving back, because we all don't have a lot of it, myself included. I'm not perfect. We all need to scale at some point. We all need to make sure we're maximizing our efficiency. And I think that in the networking piece, because I do that all day, every day, I'm constantly trying to find ways to make it more efficient for my own. That way I can copy and paste it and then give it to my clients.
Yeah.
So it's been a nice journey.
It is, and I think it's really important. And I mean, I like the way that you talk about how you assist and help people, giving them that extra time back for themselves to reflect on what they're doing. I think is really important, and time structure, and especially the way the mindset, the focus on networking is less than a sales driven opportunity.
Mhm.
It is more of a marketing part of your business development strategic plan that you should have in there. That's part of your marketing plan, networking. A lot of people don't put that in there.
Right.
So yeah, 100% agreement on that one. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Now that comes on very nicely to a networking golden tip. And
Ooh.
would you mind sharing what would be your number one golden tip of advice to somebody who's starting off in their business, who's just going to go out there and start networking? I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about this, but I want to hear it from you, Ashley. What would be your golden
Sure.
tip of advice?
So this has been the theme the past few months. It has been, you are not building a fan base, you're not building an audience, you're not building a support system, you're building an army. And the analogy means is that you are building a group of champions who will advocate for you when you're not in the room and who will, quote unquote, fight for you when you're not in the room. But in order for them to fight for you, you need to be fighting for them tenfold. Who do you want as your lieutenant? Who do you want as your general? Who do you want as your soldiers? That's how you kind of identify the kind of army that you're building, because no matter what, you're always going to be fighting for them more than they're fighting for you. But in order for you to lead in that capacity, there needs to be kind of a breakout of just different personalities and communication styles for you to really build up this army of people who will advocate for you and who will fight for you. I highly suggest people thinking about their network that way, because one, it makes you feel cool because you're like walking into battle. But two, it's because I think that people need to utilize their network. Here's an example. I have a few wonderful power networkers that are just brilliant and wonderful and are incredibly fearful of asking for help. And that was myself included. I was so used to being that giver and being that person who had all the answers and being the person that people came to, that in the beginning, it felt very uncomfortable for me to me, what I felt like was weakness, which it's not. It's a subconscious, I'm probably sure I would talk to my therapist about this, but it's a subconscious, fear that you have. And for example, I was looking, it just reminds you how wonderful your network is if you build it properly. I reached out to a group I'm about part of 3 weekly groups. And I was looking for just health insurance because I was coming off my other one and asked if anybody had a recommendation. And within 10 minutes, I had 14 options. In 10 minutes, without even thinking, people responded back to my email and said, oh, 3 people called me, 3 within 10 minutes, 14 emails, a couple different options. And it was overwhelming about how I know how willing people are to give advice and to help when you put it to the test and you see what you've built. Because it would be no problem for me to respond to that and see if I can provide some resources. But when you see it in abundance and how many people are like, I want to make sure you're doing the right thing, let me help you with this, it's overwhelming. And that is so much more than just building people that you can give and take referrals from. It comes to the foundation of of what community that you've built for yourself, which then goes into your own mental health, which goes into building a business process, which goes into how you run your home, how you are as a person, the confidence and the imposter syndrome help. Like there's so much that goes into building a network. It's not just business related. It really, really helps you become a better person. And that growth is so much less scary when you have a community of weirdos that you can go to. And that's the benefit. So my advice would be build a group, build your champions to become your army.
Mhm. And I think it's important because we always talk about surround yourself with the right people in the right place. And I think there's so many people, and 100% agreement on this, is that people are scared to ask the question. They're scared to ask the close-knit first tier of people in their circle. Many people only see the wood for the trees. They're not looking at the opportunity that's in front of them. And you've just got to ask. There's no harm in asking for it. And it's right what you say, when you do that, as a networking tip, is great when you go in there. Ask the question. If you're part of a community, ask them. even if you get one response back, you get a response back. So there's a pool of people. Absolutely great. Build your tribe. Build your tribe and your army around you, and you can take over the world. How's that? That's one of those ones.
I like it.
That's
Cool.
it. So with everything we talked about, from the business journey that you're taking, from a networking stance, from supporting many people across the areas, diversifying your business with the journey that you've been taking as well, the golden tips of advice that you've provided today, but to many others that you've been doing from TV, podcast, and your own business with the sort of networking side of it. What's the next steps for you and your business, Ashley? Where do you go to next?
Yeah, so the past 3 years I've been building up. I truly enjoy educating. There's an ease to it that I've been able to curate, and I love. I used to be an editor, so I enjoy the engagement and entertainment that comes with it, which is why I do those shows. But I realized that I haven't been able to put the amount of attention that I want into everybody that comes to me with something. And so I'm putting together this online course, which is very simple. It's a 6-week course, so basically 6 videos, and then assignments and worksheets and things. But it's chock full of templates, things that you can copy and paste, tangible things. So that way, when you watch it, one, you're laughing because it's my dumb face just making people laugh. And 2, you're getting things that are takeaways that you can do immediately. So it's great for knowing yourself, knowing your audience, planning your work and working your plan, all of these things that go into it. And that allows me to help people when I can't physically be there. As things get more and more crazy in a good way, I want to make sure that I'm still providing enough resources on a continuous basis for people to be able to get through. So that hopefully is coming in February if I can finish this curriculum. And the videos do take some time. So I want to make sure that if I'm cracking up, it's going to get added to the course. So that's the next phase. And then in addition to that, the second tier of that is you can buy the course. I think I'm gonna put it on YouTube or my page. I'm not sure yet. I'm still working through that. But the second part of that is then you also get time with me. So if you go through the first week and get all the homework done, you get open office hours with me. We chat about different things that are going on. And we're going to keep it simple. I'm not going to lock you in for 17 years. I'm going to say, there are the options. And if you want to chat with me, you can. And there's 2 different tiers to it. So the goal is to scale my own business back. But it's also so that way I can give a lot of information without forgetting if I'm doing one-on-one coaching. So yeah, it's helping dumb me smart with smart me. It's helping future dumb me be better with smart me now. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But
Yeah.
It's great that you've got that plan, and I wish you all the best for that, because I think it will happen. February is going to be with us before we even know it.
I don't even.
Fly through, and I look forward to seeing that come from the new business and the new ideas and the new structure. With everybody who's watching and listening today, how can people reach out to you? What's the best course of action to get in touch with Ashley, to ask a few questions, to follow maybe your website page? What's the best route to contact?
The website is ashlyassists.com. It's currently getting updated, but the old website's still there with all of my contact information. I put so much content on Instagram too. So tidbits, things that I share from other subject matter experts in networking, because we're all in the same sandbox, we're just building different castles. And my email, ashley@ashlyassists.com. I live in my inbox. I live in it. So if you send me an email, if I don't get back to you in a few days, I will. It'll happen, I promise. So yeah, email me and connect with me on social media, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about particular aspects of networking.
Brilliant. And I think I would highly recommend anybody who's watching and listening to this, reach out to Ashley, have a chat with her, have a bit of conversation virtually, Zoom. And LinkedIn is just a virtual networking space. That's exactly what LinkedIn's all about. It's connecting, conversations, and see where it goes from there. So highly recommend that you contact Ashley and get in touch with her. So thanks for sharing that, Ashley. Really appreciate it.
See, trash brain. I completely forgot about LinkedIn because coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Yes, LinkedIn is the #1 way to get. I'm gonna take a nap now. Thank you.
Ashley's gonna take a nap. She's gonna have a coffee break, and that's done for the day. So, but on that note, I would like to say a big thank you, Ashley, for joining us today on Revitalise Meets. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and for really offering so much content in regards of what's available and how you've been helping many people. So thanks for sharing many golden nuggets of information. Thanks for that. Wonderful. Thanks very much. If you want to find out more about Revitalise Meats, if you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the subscribe button on YouTube and join us and follow us to hear from many other business entrepreneurs and key influencers from across the globe, I should say, most importantly. We look forward to welcoming you back to Revitalise Meats very, very soon. Hope everybody keeps safe, keep healthy, and always remember, keep connecting, everybody. Take care. See you all very soon. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.